Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, let me give you a little background on this topic, rabbit laws. I was in Ocean City, enjoying myself at the beach, and I got a phone call on my cell phone, and it was Shannon Smith. Now, you might remember Shannon Smith. I did a tribute to his son a while back, and he and I chat every now and then, but he called me up. We were talking and catching up, and he told me that that some friends of his who use rabbits in their act have run into some problems because of certain federal laws. And what he said to me was that rabbits are now heavily regulated, and that we really should not be using rabbits in our act because we can get into some legal hot water. And he asked me if I would do a video on this. And first of all, let me state unequivocally, I am not an attorney. I am not a lawyer. I am not qualified to give legal advice. None of what I'm about to say should constitute legal advice. You should not take it as legal advice. You should do your own research and make your own determination and be responsible for your own behavior. Anytime I tread into legal waters, now I have a 28-year career in human resource management. So I'm used to saying I'm not an attorney. I'm not qualified to give legal advice because people are always asking me for legal advice. But I'll tell you what I did do. I did some pretty thorough research. And I'm going to put some notes down below along with a link. There is a link. The U.S. Department of Agriculture provides a list of regulated businesses that need licenses or registration with the U.S. Department of Agriculture for the use of animals. All right, so that's completely true. But here are the classes. Class A is a breeder. Are you a breeder? Class B is a dealer. Are you a dealer? Class C is an exhibitor. Now maybe you fall under that category, or maybe you don't. Class H is an intermediate handler. Class R is a research facility. Class T is a carrier. All these different classes require some kind of license, and they are heavily regulated. Now, the U.S. Department of Agriculture provides a self-service tool to determine whether an individual or business needs to register or needs a license for use of animals, including rabbits. I'm going to put a link to that tool below. I suggest you click on that link. If you're concerned, click on that link and go through that process. I did. And I was told by the Department of Agriculture website that I did not need a license. I am free to operate with rabbits in my show with no license and no regulation. And now I don't currently have a rabbit in my act. If you scroll way back in my videos, before I even did a regular vlog, you might see a rabbit routine. I used a rabbit in my act back in, it would have been the early 90s. And I produced a rabbit, and then I put the rabbit in a sort of a grinder, and I ground the rabbit flat, so I had a flat rabbit come out. Then I put the flat rabbit in a first aid kit, and I used a pump to pump the rabbit back up and then brought it back out, restored. So that was my rabbit routine. I had a white rabbit, a dwarf rabbit by the name of Harvey, named the rabbit after the famous film with Jimmy Stewart because it's a magical rabbit. And the rabbit had a disease. It had Pasteurella, which is an inner ear infection. Now, for a rabbit, to have chronic inner ear infections was just disastrous. And I remember the first time I used the rabbit in a show. I get the rabbit home and he's doing this, and I'm thinking, oh, what have I done, right, to the rabbit? So, I mean, it's very late. I go to an emergency vet facility, and they diagnose him as having this inner ear infection. It's nothing that I did. It was nothing that the act did. But I spent a good deal of time nursing that rabbit back to health. I used to sit on the floor because he hated the medicine, right? So I'd sit on the floor and I'd prop him against my thighs, and I would inject the medication behind his front teeth and slowly insert him. He would do this, but it worked. The medication was great. But I eventually retired him from the act because he just wasn't physically able to do it. I think for a family entertainer, for many family entertainers who are working with kids, producing a rabbit. By the way, David Ginn would close his act with his rabbit production, and so it is a feature in many family shows. It is a feature event. And I'm not telling you, because I'm not qualified to tell you whether you should or shouldn't use a rabbit in your act, or whether it's legal or not. I am telling you that the Department of Agriculture, which regulates these things, has provided a tool for you to determine whether you should have a license or not, and I would encourage you to do that. So Shannon, I understand you asked for this. I hope that it addressed the question and concern that you had. Thank you so much for calling me. Thank you so much for alerting me to the problem. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I hope you call me again. I love talking to you. Thank you so much, everyone. Please comment down below. I love your comments. Please subscribe if you've not done so already. Have a great day.